did you find some of the people you looked after were far more diva-y than others, or did they all kind of follow similar traits and tropes? It wouldn't be like traditional hours, like you take the 9 to 5 slot, then some other big bloke will come in and...
Most of like all these other ones I've done on my own, so I have to get there before they wake up, and I don't go to bed till they've gone to bed. So it can be, it can be 14, 15-hour days sometimes.
Fucking hell!
Yeah,
so
days.
So that really takes the kind of like glam out of it a little bit, doesn't it?
There isn't a lot of glam in it.
No,
not really. You see pictures of me with maybe Bella Hadid, Kendall on the red carpet and all that, and everyone thinks, Bodyguard, that looks like a good job, but that's a few minutes of my whole week.
Yeah. What's the strangest situation you've been in with a celebrity? Because I heard you say to James on the other podcast that you're with them all the time. So, for example, have you ever gone like to B&Q with Kendall Jenner, or ever like gone carpet shopping with MJ? Yeah.
I don't think Kendall Jenner's ever been to B&Q.
We never say never, but I mean, no. I mean, the first thing I say about all these people is they're still people. They still sleep. They still laugh, they still cry, they still eat, they still use the bathroom, they still wash.
Still all listen to Jack Mate's Happy Hour, let me tell
you. So sometimes the celebrity side of it, people forget that they're people still. So B&Q might be a little bit out there.
Looking at the colour charts.
But listening to Happy Hour.
But do they dive in a McDonald's now and then, maybe? Do you know what I mean? Do they just all the normal things? You got to remember, it's difficult for people like anyway to move around.
Yeah.
They can't just go in B&Q. They wouldn't just be able to do that.
Yeah.
They can't just go in all these normal sorts of places that we would go in, we take for granted almost. So it can be very difficult for them.
Have you ever, for example, been through the McDonald's drive-thru with Kendall Jenner, or?
No, I haven't. Let me before I lie to you, I don't think I have.
What have you done with Kendall? Like, what have you tried?
Why am I laughing?
You're way too good for her.
Well, what was your jobs with?
So I did London Fashion Week with her 2 years in a row, I think.
I bet she's got a lot of fans there, hey?
Yeah, again, she was young. She was 18, I think she was. So a lot of the bigger models, the top end, they get asked to go on the front bench of other people's shows, but equally, then if they're not doing that, then they may be walking in a show. So if the girls and guys walk in the show, then that's a whole day affair. You've got all practicing and the outfit changes and all the stuff. It's just not the right terminology at all to describe the supermodels, by the way. I'm clueless, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
It shows itself saying like 15 minutes, between 10 and maybe 15 minutes. It's not very long at all.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that, a lot of shoots. Don't get because the girls come in and out for short periods of time, normally mainly for work. Don't really get much social time.
Right.
You don't get time to do much. But sometimes dinner in the evening, maybe. If there's a party that they've been asked to go along to, something to do with Fashion Week, sometimes go along to that. But then it also depends on what you've got on the next day. If you're back out the door at 6 in the morning, you don't really want to be doing party till 3.
Yeah. Oh, well, so sometimes you'd have to go to like stuff like that then, like the parties and that?
If they wanted to go, yeah. If they was walking for a certain designer and they were throwing maybe an end of Fashion Week party or something, maybe sometimes they would go along, not necessarily all night, but they would have to show up.
So when you go to a party like this, how physically close have you got to be to that person? So say she's Kendall Jenner's in there having a party. Are you still at the door, or are you constantly watching her? Like how intense is it?
Anything like that's normally in quite a contained environment. They hire a private members club out, or it's not open for general public. So within reason, once they're inside, they're fairly okay. They normally get a penned-off area as well. I still stand somewhere near that penned-off area, but they're relatively free. It's not such a big deal. We don't go sort of public clubs.
Fair enough. I don't know if that's something you ever want to go back into or not. That kind of line of work. So I don't want you to, and I don't expect you to like badmouth anyone on it. But did you find, without naming any names, that some of the people you looked after were far more diva-y than others, or did they all kind of follow similar traits and tropes?
Whole range of people, really.
Yeah. Any you didn't like?
Do you know what? I don't have to work for anybody. You know, I was freelance. I worked, on a contract, if you like, to each people. So, if there's anyone what I got asked to look after and I didn't, I just thought it's not going to work for me, I'd say no in the first place. Or if I did start with someone and maybe a day in, you think, do you know what? I can't be dealing with it. It's too much.
Right.
Then you just don't do the next day. So no, really, everyone I looked after, to be fair, was I never had a problem with anyone I looked after.
Okay, so what about your favourite then, or do you not have favourites? You love them all the same.
I don't have favourites in terms of the person because they're all nice people. They're all nice people.
Yeah.
But I guess if I was to gauge a favourite, it would be on how the job run itself. But then they're all very different. Kendall and Bella, for instance, are very similar because they're both models. So their day-to-day routine is probably going to be very similar.
Right.
Whereas Rita, I look after Halsey sometimes for a friend of mine. They're both singers, Rita Ora, sorry. And
yeah.
So their day-to-day and the things you go to, the venues you go to, for concerts and things, it's all similar. So, and then obviously if you go down the route of Dizzee Rascal's one, I still, again, is another mate of mine does that, so sometimes I see Dizzee, but the music ones, the jobs are all consistent, if you like.
Yeah.
The model consistent, and if you go down the route of actors as well, that's consistent.
Oh, so you have favourites based on kind of like their career and what would be expected of you on the day. You really do look at it like a job, don't you? I know that sounds silly. No, but do you know what I mean? Like, because for me, yeah, if that was me randomly, I just got dropped in to do it, I'd be going, right, so I've got David Beckham tomorrow. That'd be good to chat to him a little bit about this. And like, if you get someone like Bella Hadid, for example, who I've only just really found out who she is, and she's fucking like a megastar, I wouldn't be that fussed, from the greatest respect, but because you're a professional and that's what you do, it's weird that you don't see them as, of course you see them as individuals, you treat them as individuals, but you really do see it as, okay, so if I've got a music person, this is how the day is going to go and stuff like that. And is that how you get your preference? Yeah,
because especially like the only time I've ever worked with anyone else has been Michael Jackson. Every other job I've done in the UK, and bearing in mind in London, I don't talk about it that much because obviously everyone wants to talk about the celebrities, which I get is the main focus, I guess, of my career. But I've also looked after a lot of high net worth people around town, billionaires, MPs, CEOs of banks, corporate people. So I've looked after a whole range of different people, and I think all of those, they all have their own type of day out, if you like, depending on what they do. And I just think that, if I get with the celebrity side of things, you normally get like a call sheet for the day where they got to be at that photo shoot, or they got to be filming there, or they at concerts, and they got a sound check at this time. And the first thing you do is see what the start time is. I mean, it comes in at 5 o'clock at the O2. Well, that's shit. So, that's kind of how I judge the jobs. It doesn't mean so I won't do it. Obviously, you just get on with it, but that's kind of how I judge it. When you've got maybe an actor who's got 2 hours at Pinewood Studios in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, and you can start at 1. Well, that's the job to do, isn't it?
Yeah, buzzing. So how I think I briefly might have mentioned this a minute ago, but for example, let's say you're picking up Kendall Jenner, and you've got to escort her to a different place. So you're in a car. You're in a confined space at this point. So you're not just walking down the red carpet. You're actually in a car. How professional is it to have a little chat? Can you have a little chat? Right, Kendall?
If you're going to do that, I mean, one first of all, anyone we look after is make sure they want to speak.
Yeah.
Because some days people don't. Remember what I said earlier about people being normal.
Yeah.
You wake up grumpy. The last thing you want to do is talk to some bloke on the tube, but you don't really, do you know what I mean? You don't want to talk. So firstly, the normal rule of thumb is, unless they're forthcoming in talking, I won't talk to them.
Oh, really?
Not in a nasty way. Good morning, how are you? Everything all right? We'll do that spiel. But if they're not particularly receptive, obviously when you're with people all the time, just straight away if they're up for talking or not talking.
Yeah.
But there's a time to do it. Maybe do it when they're, if you're in the room or in the car, when there's time. When I'm out and about, I don't talk because I've got too many other things to do. We shouldn't be talking about sitting on a red carpet.
Not your go-to meal deal or anything, yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah, talking about ham and cheese sandwich.